So we are back with part two.
Part two
Of our podcast this week. Of our podcast, talking about women in athletics, Black women more particularly. And we are definitely trying to get as many people who are familiar with the HBCU culture. And so today we have starring JayCee, and she's going to tell us some more about basically her role and her time basically working in athletics. She's also a former basketball player herself. She's, played sports, reports on sports, and I'm just excited to have her with us. I think it's going to be good and fun. She's on 92Q in Baltimore. So if you are from Baltimore and you talk with a twang, this is your thing, okay?
Bye.
So
please.
All the yos and the dummies.
Yes. And earn. Please indulge us.
Yeah. Two is stupid is in the building too. What up, though? Nah, man. Listen, I appreciate y'all for having me on. Anything HBCU, anything athletics, especially as a woman, is crazy for me. A lot of people don't know that I never really got my opportunity to actually touch the basketball court to play for a school. I actually had a coach tell me I would never be good enough to touch the floor. And so, being able to, one, overcome that mental adversity of putting up about 17 to 18 years of your life, becoming a star athlete in your own right, in your own county, being honorable mention, all-Met, all-county, and all-star for PG County in Maryland. You literally have these opportunities where, you think you're good enough to go and strive to do other things. And I've set records for 3-pointers over men and women while I was playing in high school. And, to never get that chance. To never get the chance to actually play. I just made a promise to myself that I would never become the person that I had those coaches were to me. And from high school, literally not knowing exactly where I was going to go, I'm not going to lie. You couldn't convince me I wasn't going to be a Duke Blue Devil on the basketball team. You couldn't convince me anything differently. And, I unfortunately, and I say this with a caveat, unfortunately, I didn't get to live out that dream. But fortunately, I was able to have a safe school, which was Elizabeth City State University. And biking pride 3 times. And my father graduated. It's a legacy school. My aunts graduated. My cousins graduated, all from Elizabeth City. And you would think that I would want to go somewhere else, but I did, but I didn't have the opportunity to. And so sometimes the things that are meant for evil are the best things that are, for you. So I'm just grateful that I'm able to survive and talk about it now.
Yeah. Absolutely. You can smile about it though too, right? Because I can imagine, especially something being your passion, right? And then somebody tells you, I don't know if, I'm sure that people say things to other, to men or to white women or whomever. But I just feel like they say it directly to us. Yeah, the way they say it to Black women, right? To say like, you'll never like,
I think
the audacity.
Well, and it's so funny that you say that word because that's my line name. So for those who don't know, I am a Delta.
Okay.
I remember Delta Sigma Beta Sorority Incorporated. Yeah. Delta Chi. So yeah. But I say it's funny because I had those relationships with coaches. I worked out with mostly guys. So fun fact about me is that I'm the only girl on both sides of my family.
Wow.
And I grew up with nothing but guys. So I played football in the street. I played golf. I bowled on scholarship. I've done most of the things that honestly, being able to be as versatile in these rooms and talk about sports and things like that have kept me in the room longer. And in a male dominated industry, you know, when you're so used to hearing or already coming in understanding that for every 67 cents that you make, the guy makes $1, you're already in your thought process like, I'm behind, so let me figure out what's the way that I can at least get to 85 cents, because I know I'm still not going to get this dollar, but there's a way for me to go ahead and like at least catch up and only be 15 cents behind instead of like 43, right?
Right.
So I think for me, in a nutshell, too, hearing it was kind of crazy because and I'm actually can like speak on it now, like without having craziness going on. But you know, I had 3 coaches that did me dirty in the CIAA.
Wow.
And yeah. So, you know, and it's okay now, right?
Right.
I don't have to live it. Still gonna be a lingering, you know, type of situation. You know, I used to hate the game of basketball, and I spent 18 years of my life playing it. I couldn't even tell you what channel ESPN was. All the basketballs that I had, I threw them in the trash. I popped them. I pushed all my jerseys and shorts, you know, in bins. I didn't know where they were. Like, I just didn't want to be reminded of feeling like I failed.
Right.
Because for me, you know, as that kid, you're the only girl. And when you've been playing with guys, you know your talent is already on an elite level simply because of the fact that you've not been playing with the girls. You've been playing with the guys. You've been training with guys. You've been training with guys, coaches, and things of that nature. So you already know you're thinking you're playing faster pace because the guys' game is a lot faster than the women's game in basketball. So you already know that how you communicate on the floor is going to be different compared to a lot of people. And that was my edge. That was like my my competitive advantage, if you will. So yeah, it's been crazy.
Yeah. One thing you talked about was you said that the sports, being able to have the conversation about sports has kept you in the room longer. And I think that's interesting because a while ago when I was working in corporate, someone told me most of the business deals don't happen in the boardroom. They happen on the golf course.
Right.
And I was like, I don't even know anything about golf. So I was like, you know, maybe I should learn a little bit just so I can have that conversation though, right? And so it's funny that you said that because we kind of have to, what we've realized as a theme in our conversations with successful with Black women in their male-dominated industries is they've had to adjust and learn something new or learn something different or kind of like have an edge that's a little bit different than what maybe a male may have had to have, or an Anglo or, you know, whatever woman would have to know. And I think that's interesting. But I also like how you turn your negative into a positive because now
I ain't have a choice.
Right. And that's the thing. Black women don't have a choice. We never have a choice. You know, they're like, heal. But I mean, you've been through some stuff. You loved it. And then you started to hate it where you. So let me ask you this, and this might be personal. You don't have to answer it, but like, how did you get over that? Like, did you go to therapy? Because it's like for me, it's like cheerleading, right? When I bumped my knee, I was done. I don't want to talk about cheerleading, much as she loves it, but it hurts.
Well, first of all, so before I answer that question, I would just love to go ahead and toss that out there that cheerleading is a sport. So
yes, it is.
I have been pro advocate for cheerleaders being us. But y'all, listen, cheerleaders work as hard. I will say it this way: HBCU cheerleaders work hard.
Yes, they do.
I've physically seen the practices, the 2-a-days, I've seen it all. So my hat's off to cheerleaders. And so to answer the question, oh man, it took me 10 years. And watch this, I'm in year 12. So that should tell you how recent. It took me 10 years. And so now, like, my entire mission in life right now is helping others. So I'll do it this way. I just founded, I'm the CEO of a company called Purpose Beyond Sports now. And it took me a while to finally kind of gravitate into that. And, you know, I had to find a way to do it. And so I've kind of been building this company without knowing it. But in 2016, I wrote my first book.
Oh, wow.
And it's called Reality Sold Separately. And so I wrote out how I felt or what I endured over the time of being not only coming from out of a high school that really didn't get a lot of notoriety, but I played with a lot of girls that we worked out together. So when their games were, when we played against each other, we all were competing for scholarships because we knew that the scouts was in the room. And so, but of course, with us being in the network, of course, we're hooking everybody up. We're like, yo, like, I mean, when the numbers are already coming in, they're like, look, I'm secure. Go get the bag.
Right, right.
And so for me, it took a while because I've cried a lot of nights. And most people, they have different perspectives. Like they have the you know, they lost a parent, right? Or they had an injury, or, you know, there's a lot of different avenues that goes into this. But the thing that got me the most was I wasn't hurt. I never asked for a scholarship. I never had a low GPA. I never was, you know, I never was in a situation where I could not advance to be that person. I did two-a-days on my own. Like you didn't have to force me to get in the gym. You had to force me out of the gym. So, you know, it really troubled me. It hurt me a lot because of the fact that I have a younger brother who was watching this situation play out, and he did not go on to pursue his athletic abilities because he saw the same thing happen to his older cousin and now to his older sister. He's like, I'm not doing that. I'm not putting myself in that situation. And so, you know, I will say therapy for sure. Shout out to my therapist, and she's Black, and she graduated from Bowie State. Yeah, you know, you got to have all the categories.
Right.
And honestly, just one day it just clicked. Now I will say this. And I'm not sure how spiritual most people are that listen or watch this.
Well,
but
we are, so it don't matter.
Right.
I will say this: a lot of prayer.
Yeah.
And a lot of, it was a whole lot of come to Jesus moments. I grew up. I started growing into this person that I didn't recognize, and I started battling myself. And so every day was a fight between what this new career is and the old me. And the old me didn't want to get replaced because I was dealing with identity issues. Coming out of high school, being the top athlete, being in the top percentile of graduating, being the senior class vice president, coming out playing ball, everybody knows you for this one specific thing. I did marching band, I did yearbook, I was on all the committees, I did audio visual, I did all of that stuff.
Wow.
But most people knew me from hooping. And so when you're known for that jersey, it's like you have a cape on your back, you're Superwoman or you're Wonder Woman or whatever. And it's like, as soon as it's gone, it's like, yo, who are you?
Right.
And it's kind of like, and I'll say it like this, I won't say it to the extremity of like this statement, but it's kind of like being worshipped on the basketball court because you're slam dunking and you're shooting the lights out like Steph Curry or like a Jewel Lloyd, right? And then as soon as you come off the court, you get in the car, you're still Black. If you get pulled over, they'll lock you up for shooting. And it's the same thing, not extreme wise, but it's the same thing identity wise, because you don't know who you are. You're looking in the mirror every day and you're like, yo, what else am I supposed to do? Like, I don't even want to be here. Like, why am I here? Like, why am I existing? I'm known for this. My friends don't really call me that was calling me when I was hooping. I lost friends. I gained associates. It wasn't like people could really help me. On top of the fact that while all of this was going on, not playing in college, I witnessed a murder. I saw a brawl happen during homecomings. Like, it was a lot that took place, on top of the fact that two of my closest friends that I grew up with, like, you know, when we was coming up, joke wise, when we was coming up, everybody, you could get your behind whooped by the neighbor.
Listen,
by the daycare provider.
It's funny that you should say that today.
Right. So with that being said, two of my brothers, like, and I call them my brothers because at any given moment, their parents could tear my behind up if they wanted to. And unfortunately, they both passed away together.
Mm.
So imagine coming home, you're not hooping, not playing at all. Just got told 2 weeks before you got on campus that the coach that was going to give you a second chance while you was at Elizabeth City, she just lost her job 2 weeks before you got on campus. And then in that same semester, you lose both your brothers in a car accident, and one wouldn't have survived after the other. So you had to go to a funeral and see two caskets at the same end. Mentally, my entire college career, I don't know how I made it. To be honest, I don't. I know how I made it, but then like how I made it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And see, that's the thing. So I think a lot of times students go to HBCUs and they're like, oh, you can go to a PWI, woo, woo, woo. But I'm not sure, and I can't speak on your experience, but I've had some experience as well. But I think that in HBCU, the environment and the support, did you have that support there? Or did you have like kind of like the
You know what? I will say that my support started to grow when I stopped playing basketball.
right.
And
So
it's so
kinda,
crazy because I had to give people another reason to pay attention to me, unfortunately.
right.
And so what I started doing was not realizing, and it's funny because so I'm, like little plug, I'm writing a new book. So in the second book,
We're here for the plugs.
Yeah, we are.
We the outlet.
So in the second book, I just started talking about how I started to seek the attention without realizing I was doing it. And so because when I started hosting, so after so I went to Elizabeth City, I transferred to Bowie State.
Okay.
When I transferred to Bowie, like Bowie is second home for me, like 100%. I will say the support system that I had at Bowie State, really, really, I hold them very close. Like till this day, like anything they need, they know they got it. And it's never even been a money play on certain things. For me, it's just like the relationship. They saved a lot of me when I was there. And so it's just you have those support systems, but if I hadn't got involved, I probably would have never known or been able to say this was gonna work. Like this right here for me was gonna, like, I could survive in this particular moment because I was still dealing with, because I transferred to Bowie to hoop. And 4 months after I transferred, the same thing that happened in Elizabeth City happened at Bowie. The coach was released of her duties as the head coach. And then because of new athletic administration, and now there's a whole nother coach that comes in, and I'm like, yo, I'm leaving. Like and my homegirl that convinced me to come to Bowie at the time was like, no, stay. The coach has asked if you were gonna, if you still wanted to play. I did preseason training. I did 2-a-days. I was invited by the head coach at the time to come to preseason training, only to be told that two things: I would never be good enough to touch the floor, and that I was only going to be good enough, or I would only be given an opportunity if somebody got hurt on a 7-man roster that they out of 15.
So these people look like us. These people look like
of course
us.
they did. Of course they did. I'll even throw a whole bone in for you. Like, I got burned, and as you can see, I'm Greek, right? So I got burned by my own sorority, and
this is a whole nother show. That's a whole.
It is. Like, and like I said, like, I mean, lessons, and I say this respectfully, like, because I don't wish no ill will on nobody, right? Because I don't get blessed that way. I'm now in this season that I'm at. I'm grateful that these things happen because I know how to deal with people in business now. Because I now have systems in place for myself where I know how to protect myself, and I know how to protect my energy. And in those moments, I didn't know how to do either one, because as an athlete, you're so reliant on coaches and on recruitment and on strength training and on trainers and on, all of these different academic measures that you have, that when you're no longer an athlete, it's like, where's that system? It just flips
Right.
immediately. Like, it's like,
Right.
where's this system? Who do I call to? Because your schedule is now determined by you.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're in a situation where you're just like,
Now what?
now what?
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Exactly.
Wow. So you said getting involved. Listen, I don't know. I'm gonna say this. The students who know me know I'm frank. So we have an issue where the people who are involved are either they're athletes. Well, the athletes kind of do their thing. Like they show up during, at their athletic season. So the football players in the fall, they're here. When it's basketball season, they're here. But, and then there's, SUAB and then there's the SGA people. But it just seems like we can't get other people to get involved. And I liked how you spoke about how that made a difference for you and how that created that community around you. And I think that's something that students need to hear because they live in these silos, right? And they feel like I'm the only person. Well, they like to come to me and tell me about the things that they're going through, which I don't mind, but I'm not a trained therapist. I see
you don't have to be. Yeah, you don't have to be. I've learned that.
I be like, listen, I don't know. You might not want to listen to me.
As long as they ain't talking about slicing no throats.
Right. Because I am.
And there's a center for that.
Right. There's a center for that. And I'm required to report.
Mandated reporter.
Right.
Mandated reporter.
But, I think that's one thing that helped me as well, like in undergrad. And I think that's what they need to understand here. Yes, you go to an HBCU, and sometimes people will say, I don't have that family feeling. And, you might have to transfer to find that right one. You can always come to Shaw. But, sometimes you won't get that until you get around other people and get involved to meet other people.
So I will say this. I originally was that person. Now I'm very extroverted. I'm very extroverted. But when I went to Elizabeth City, I became very introverted. Immediately. Like, and a lot of that came from, I'm already not hooping, so I don't want nobody to judge me. I wasn't going to be known as the popular person on campus at the moment because I didn't have a jersey. So I didn't know how to, I didn't even know how to introduce myself. And so luckily my cousin was still there, but he was playing on the team. And so he kind of introduced me to a lot of things. And I think that same year, not that same year, about 2 years later, my other cousin, he was already there, but he ended up being online for Omega. And he crawled. So, I met a lot of people, but in that freshman year, that first semester, I was going home every weekend.
Oh,
every weekend, right? Now watch this. I had
Stay there.
I'm born and raised DC all day.
Right.
Like, and so coming from the city life to this rural little area, that's the little circle where
I was gonna ask you about that, but
it ain't a whole lot around there.
Right.
I gotta go. I don't know nobody. I don't want to know nobody. I'm going home. Like, what we doing? The first week, my parents dropped me off Saturday. I was home Friday night.
Wow.
Like, because my little cousin's birthday was the same weekend. And my older cousin, her brother, was like, yo, I'm going home this weekend. You ready? I was like, hold on, give me 2 hours. I have
right.
I was ready.
Right.
And it wasn't until, so we have this thing called Downey's Classic. Happens every year. And everybody was like, yo, you gonna go? And I was like, nah, I'm going home. I went home. It wasn't until, I think it was like, I want to say, it was something that happened. It had to either be after my first semester or like it was a weekend where I just decided to stay. And I stayed, and I knew a few people because I worked in the bowling alley. So we're fortunate enough to have a bowling alley on campus. And yeah, yo, hey, let me plug So we, Elizabeth City is fortunate enough to have their own bowling alley on campus, and I was fortunate enough to actually be on a team. And so that gave me some sort of camaraderie again, right? But it wasn't the same for me because I was used to the bright lights, big city type situation when it comes to the basketball court. And I think for me personally, when I stayed that one weekend, I knew a few people because they were automatically coming in the bowling alley.
Right.
Because I used to check the people in, I used to give them lanes, things of that nature, because that was my work study. And so it allowed me to meet a few people. And so those people were staying on campus in that time. And they was like, yo, come chill with us. And these are upperclassmen.
Yeah.
And so the upperclassmen reach back.
Yeah.
But you got to be willing to be open, right? We played space till 6 a.m. I saw the sun go down and come up.
Alicia don't know how to play space, so she doesn't understand she don't understand the bonding that happens.
This is not true. Alicia, listen, I can't play. You're right. I cannot play. I cannot play space, but I can pour drinks. And I can watch y'all flip the table over.
Like I said, she doesn't understand the life lessons and the friendships and bonds that are made through throwing the card on the table.
You build trust in space. You build trust in space.
that is a trust building activity.
Listen, learning
from that moment. That one weekend that I stayed on campus, then I started figuring out oh, they do this on the weekend. Oh, they do this. I started finding another church. Then I ended up started playing drums at a church. Because I used to play drums full time for a bunch of churches. I played for a few artists. I played at the biggest mega nightclub in Las Vegas. And so it's a lot of different things that I've done in my life. So being extroverted has never been hard for me because I've always been in different activities thanks to my mom and dad. So I'm in the Hall of Fame for Girl Scouts. I have the highest award for Girl Scouts.
Jill of all trades.
Okay, Jill of all trades.
So
Renaissance woman.
Yeah, there we go.
But it allowed me to be able to talk in multiple capacities. So some people that are just coming to school and this is their first time being extroverted and they're introverted, it's kind of a shell shock for them because the first thing they want to do is say, okay, I don't know how this is going to work. Okay, there we go. So I just think that, the best advice I can give without dragging this out, because I know we didn't went on about this, but the best advice that I would give is try something new at least once a semester.
Right. That's good though.
Right.
At least try. I wouldn't stretch it to say once a week, once a month, because I don't know how introverted you are. And I'm never tell anybody to be anybody different from who they are. If you do small circles, cool. Navigate the small circles. See people that already hang out in small circles. Why do they hang out in small circles? Are they the uppity situation? You could tell by the person that how they dress, or are they the casual, laid back individual? For me personally, it never failed. You could probably catch me in something designer one day and in sweats the next day. It didn't matter because I didn't want you to know me for that, right? And it was more so I spoke to everybody on campus. I spoke to everything, and I think that's the thing. This generation is a little bit different. They think you're supposed to speak to them, and it's yo, let's just speak to each other. We have words. Let's use them. And I pray that COVID allows us to
absolutely. I know
to actually to finally tap into that, at least that one space, because we haven't had real interactions with people. We've kind of dibbed and dabbled, but we've been on edge while we were doing it because we're I don't want to catch you, right?
Right.
So, don't give me the vid, right?
Right.
So I think the one thing I would tell anybody to do is, the greatest hazard in life is to never risk anything. And so to take a risk as an introvert one day a week will allow you to get 1% better. To take a risk one time a semester while you're on campus makes you a better individual every year. You don't know what might come out of that. So and then on top of that, and also, even if you're introverted or you're extroverted, getting involved with more than just your crew, your clique, whatever that is, also determines you never know who might help you be able to get a job later on too.
Okay,
so listen, I've seen it happen. I have
Right.
seen it
Listen, I am the
happen.
Right.
You ain't listen, being cool, all that stuff go out the window when
Right.
graduation over.
Right.
You ain't cool no more. You just on Facebook like,
Right.
dog, I miss homecoming. That's it. That's
Right.
it. That's all. Yo.
Right.
Yeah.
What part of DC are you from?
Oh man, come on, South with an F. Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Oh gosh.
54th, best place. Yeah,
Okay,
right.
okay. I have been there, Southeast off Ridge Road. So
Oh, come on here. Come on here.
yes. So now you are, like you said, you're on 92Q. 92Q. I can't say it like y'all. 92.
Y'all, I'm from DC.
No, you said, no, you got that twang too. It's just a little bit.
The check get cut in Baltimore. You gotta sound like them. That way they feel a little normal.
Oh, okay.
You learn the tricks of the trade. Cause trust me, I can sound like I'm from North Carolina too when I'm in it. Yeah, that's easy.
Help us. I'd like to hear.
I ain't been back in about 2 years, so that thing probably gone by now.
So now you're on 92Q, and then you also have done some things with the CIAA.
Yeah.
And I actually look forward to when COVID is over. I really would love to have you here on campus. Tell us though, we have a JOMC program, a journalism mass comm program. And I know one young lady for sure, she wants to be on the radio and, just different avenues that people want to take. And one thing you talked about was the ability for you to use what you've done, as throughout your matriculation in life, you use your different skills and what have you. So tell us more about basically how you got into working in radio and even your podcast space, but even all the more writing, right? Because I think people say, I could talk. I don't need to be able to learn how to write. And then we get these emails that have the subject line with the whole email in it. You be like,
come on, somebody.
What's the problem?
Oh man. Oh, that's a loaded question. So let's backtrack. So when I'm gonna try to fast track this a little bit. So when I transferred from Bowie State, I went back to Elizabeth City before I actually was going to transfer to Virginia Union. I was being fully recruited. I had a recruitment day. 30 days after my day, my offer was rescinded. That's a whole nother podcast. So with that being said, and big shout out to Coach, like she's dope. And so after that, I went back to Elizabeth City and forgive me, I'm trying to make sure I timeline this right. I went back to Elizabeth City and I linked up with my homeboy. Shout out to the Full Circle Squad, LG Burner, DJ B out, Say Druid Media, and I linked up with B out, and he was the on-campus DJ at the time. And as he was the on-campus DJ, I was like, well, from Jersey, and I was a kid from the city, and the one thing we know how to do is weigh the options. And it was like, all right, well, let's figure this out. One night, I legit had $5 to my name, and I was like, cookout or the party. So I figured out how to kick my cookout tray by walking in the door with him, helping him bring his stuff in. And that turned into me helping him do that over and over, which eventually I said, you know what? Let me meet the security people and the people at the door, because they'll eventually need to know my face if I just have to get here before he gets here and be like, yo, he's on his way. I just wanted to let you know, just kind of be his liaison. And one night, as long as I live, one night, bro got real upset with me because I kept telling him all the song requests that people kept. So let me say this now. DJs really hate or him do their job. They got booked because of a reason. All right. So with that being said, he took the microphone one day and just waved it in my face. He was like, yeah, man, talk to him. And he was like, and I was like, all right. And so I'm like, man, I done worked at every club in the city. I've seen it done before. Before I had transferred back to Elizabeth City, I did my first hosting event with my big sister, Angie Ange, who was a part of the Morning Hustle show. Yeah, it must be Angie on the mind. And so, you know, grew up on that, man. So, yeah. And it's just, I sidebar, I'm super, super grateful to be able to call my idol, my mentor. It's so dope. And so, yeah, so I was able to do that with her. And so I came back already having at least one under my belt, right? But it wasn't a party. Like, we did a basketball game together. So I was like, all right, well, cool. Man, I hosted that party. The end of the night, bro was like, I don't know what you just did, but from now on. And literally, I stopped being the person that helped him set up to the person that came and had my own setup. And I was like, all right, let's get it done. And that turned into me being asked by Student Life on campus to host the concert during the comedy show during homecoming. And I had always heard this, I had always seen this done, and I was like, I'm gonna try it. And I was like, yeah, you gotta talk to my manager. And they was like, I was like, yeah, yo, like, you gotta talk to my manager. And he was like, all right, send me the information. I was like,
I am
in the back of my head, I'm like, bro, I ain't got one. But luckily, and God rest his soul now, my uncle was my very first manager. And he used to represent Tawanda Braxton. And so I called him and was like, yo, like, they giving me a shot on campus. Can you, step in, handle the contracts? Because I've never done it before. Like, so he stepped in immediately. That night, I was on the comedy show with Spank Horton, Alex Thomas. I was the host of the entire situation. And they paid me $1,500. From that point on, I knew exactly what I was going to do.
I know that's right.
This was a 2-hour show. I probably touched the mic all of 45 minutes total for $1,500.
Right.
Yeah, I'm in the right business, right? Basketball eventually was like, all right, we can kind of put this right here.
Right.
And so from that point on, that led from doing all of the events on campus, becoming the campus host, getting contracts, doing homecomings, doing anything you could think of that came to Elizabeth City. I was on the ticket. Then after that, I graduated and I had that stuck moment again. And I was just like, yo, I'm getting ready to go home. I'm no longer playing ball. And now this life that I've created in Elizabeth City is like a fantasy now. Like, now what do? I'm facing the same thing I started with again.
Right.
So, yeah, I'll never forget it. 2013, I crossed. 2014, I went to my first CIAA. And I was able to go in the building. I had some connections with the school. They gave me the tickets. We drove down. I was like, all right, cool. I get in the building and I literally studied everybody that was in that building for 2 days.
Wow.
And I didn't move out of that building. Like, I probably walked out of it maybe like 2 times out of an 8-hour day of me being in the building the entire time. And I'm literally like watching all these people walk around. Who is this? Who is this? Okay. And I'm scouting the place. On the last day, to see this guy, my guy saved my life, changed my life forever. Rocky Whitaker. I will never not say his name. And I pulled up on him. He was walking up the stairs with Demetria McKinney. Shout out to my homegirl. Like, so, and she got stopped by a fan and I cornered him and like, hey, excuse me, sir. How you doing? Hit him with my little 30-second elevator pitch, Hey, my name is JayCee. I'm an aspiring, on-air personality, and I host already. I'm a graduate of CIAA. I graduated from Elizabeth City. And I just wanted to see, if I could speak with you about possibly hosting for the CIAA. Right. And he was like, all right, okay, gave me his card. I don't think he took me seriously. And I know he didn't, because he kind of, you get pitched like that all the time, right? Man, I emailed that man 11 months straight. I did not miss a month. Like,
yeah.
In the 11th month, he was like, I've never seen nobody this diligent and this persistent and this consistent. I have to give you a shot. He gave me a shot without seeing film footage, reel, anything. He was just like, listen, this is how we gonna do this. I'm gonna give you a shot. I can't pay you. So if you can get down here, if you can figure out your way, you can figure out where to stay. I'll give you a chance. You either can sink and you can sink and you can sit on the joint, and enjoy the rest of the week, or you can swim and I'm gonna let you go. I was swimming for 6 years.
Yes.
So the floor that the coach told me I will never touch.
What? Come on.
Been on it for 6 years,
Okay.
right?
We're gonna go ahead and pass around the opera plate. It's another, it's another sermon.
Here's what I will say. 6 years, then this is a personal statement. This has nothing to do with CIAA. This has nothing to do with none of the companies that I've worked with, partnered with. Out of 6 years working there, I never enjoyed one moment.
What? Tell us more.
Let me tell you the reason why. I didn't enjoy it because I was still in pain.
Mm. Woo.
It has nothing to do with the CIAA gave me an opportunity. Like, I mean, of course, when the door opened, I knocked the joint slam in, right? Like I did every event except I've literally done every single event except the televised games. I did Fan Fest. I've come down with my partner. Shout out to DTLR. I've done all of the games that weren't televised. I've done all of the activations for almost every sponsor. I did the step shows. I've done everything, literally, right? All of that off of one, chasing this guy down. And here's something, and here's a nugget for people too. If you're trying to get in this game, be able to do stuff for free.
Yeah, that's the second time.
That's the second time they've heard it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me say, I'm gonna say this specifically. Like, now, I played myself a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I did CIAA for 6 years. I only got compensated for a year and a half, and I only got compensated for one basketball tournament. I did 2 volleyball tournaments, 2 volleyball championships, 2 football championships, one CIAA that I got paid for. That's it. 4.5 years of free labor. So I played myself, not gonna lie to you. But I didn't know the business the way I do now. But everything that I got out of it, they taught me. I played myself. I got some, I move differently on some things. And I will never do some of those movements ever again. But
Learning lesson.
Of course. But they gave a young kid from DC that went to a small school called Elizabeth City State University an opportunity to be on the floor that a coach told her that she would never touch. I can never take anything away from CIAA ever.
Right.
And then from there, still fighting, trying to get opportunities in the radio. It took me 6 years to get in the door.
Wow.
Like, there's an old saying that says, if you can stomach 10,000 hours of your dream, you're willing to go the full throttle.
Right.
April 21st of this year will be my 10,000 hours.
Wow.
You got to be able to do it and know and endure. How much can you take? And I'm taking a lot when it comes to this business. And then the other thing that I would say is, moving into CIAA, like, I had to take jobs. Like, I was doing, and this is discouraging, but it's not discouraging. Discouraging because you go to school, you get a degree, and the first thing you do is go home and you get a sales associate job at a retail spot, and you're working for managers that have never been to college except for homecomings. That's it. That's discouraging as crap. That comes to, and this is a whole other podcast of what I'm about to say too. That comes to alumni relations, being able to have a pipeline for us to be able to navigate ourselves into these opportunities. But like I said, that's a whole nother, like, I can preach on that one. But
we'll have to call you back.
Book on.
But and I don't discredit nobody. I'm just a person that had to endure 6 years of, watch this. There was a radio station on campus, but the station didn't get me in the door. My hustle got me in the door.
Right.
Because the station at the school didn't have no pipeline. So I'm coming from a market that's like market 1 something, and I'm in a top 10 market in DC. I either got hustle, I don't want it.
Right.
Literally, when I got into and I tried to say this the short version, but I promise you it's not. I got into a car accident. When I got into a car accident, I had to go get a new car. Well, what I was working in retail wasn't gonna pay that car.
Right.
So then I gotta go find another gig. So the high school that I said I would never step foot in was the first place that gave me a job.
Wow.
I had to go back and see my assistant principal, who was now the principal of the school, who knew my entire athletic story and was like, yo, just tell my secretary I said hook you up. She'll send the paperwork, go down to the office. I was substitute teaching by the next week.
Wow.
So once I got in the door, substitute teaching, now I'm finding that these kids are, I'm finding that these kids are attracting to me. Like I tell them that, I used to shoot the lights out in this gym, like what you don't honor, what you don't protect, that's my house. Like,
Right.
No, like, wow. Right. And I would even, and some of the people that was teaching me while I was in school still worked there. So they was like, I was like, yo, go ask her, go ask him.
Right.
And they'd be like, and they'd go fact check and they'd be like, dang, for real, right? So it got me to go closer. And so after I left from my high school, I worked at another high school. The high school I always wanted to go to, I ended up working at. Watch this. It gonna blow your mind. The whole time, 3 years working in that same building, I had to work with the coach from my high school that I despised, that did not help me get into college.
Listen here. This is sermon. This is good.
I need you to understand something. I couldn't move on. I couldn't elevate until I finally dealt with that pain that hurt. And I had to literally, watch this. The last part of my term working in that building, I'll never forget it. They were gonna terminate my position. They finally hired somebody full-time in that position that I was in, and they were just gonna move me back to doing regular substitute teaching. I was like, all right, cool, whatever. Right. In the meantime, while I'm working there, I have hosted events. I have spoken to the classes and everything. I've spoken at honor roll assemblies. I've spoken at National Signing Days. I've done all of that, right? I did one in Baltimore for First Lady Michelle Obama. Like I did all of that, right? The thing that got crazy was basketball players just started attracting themselves to me. The kids in the classroom, like, yo, and you can legit, and I say this like, you could cuss them out and they legit would be like, yo, what you doing tomorrow? You coming?
This is true. This is true.
Right. And so it's so crazy. and so it's so crazy that that when I got in that building, my hustle, and there's a reason why I'm saying this, my hustle got bigger because I was not happy. And so I would, during the planning periods, because when you substitute teaching, you're getting the schedule of the teacher that's out. So during those planning periods, I would come to my car, sit in my car. This is the reason why this is not hard for me. I would come in my car, sit in my car, record myself in voice memo, utilizing air checks that I would listen to the radio. I would listen to the personalities say what they would say. I would mimic what they would say in voice memos. I would email the voice memos to myself. I would go to YouTube, convert music videos and instrumentals and sound effects from radio that they would use. I would use the converter from the video to MP3. I would download them. I would upload them to GarageBand. And then I would put together a whole air check for every single station I had access to in the city. So that means I had to do one for every single station.
Right.
It's with a different tag, different station, right? I did that for 6 years.
Wow.
The day they told me they was gonna take away the position, but I was in high school. When I was working at that high school, was the day that I got my job at Radio 1 Baltimore.
Okay.
See how life works out.
Listen.
See how
If
life
y'all
works
don't get
out.
nothing else from this, like,
But that's the thing for me.
hustle.
That's a part though. So like
The
right now
network.
we have students. I think a lot of times our students think that things, like you said, you're supposed to talk to them, but they think things are supposed to come to them, and they think it's easy just because they'll have a college degree. Listen, the easy part is getting the college degree. I hate to say it that way, and it's hard, right? But what I'm saying is, it's after graduating. Even getting up to that graduation point, it's the persistence, right? And yeah, somebody else is gonna want a government job or gonna want the same job as you, but something's gotta set you apart. It's gotta be your hustle. It's gotta be, you can know somebody, you can, but what I know people who got a job because they knew someone and lost that job because they knew they couldn't do the work. They didn't do the work.
Watch this.
Or they
Watch
couldn't.
this. Watch this. I'm gonna blow your mind with this one. My degree ain't give me my job.
And that part.
Hold on, wait. And I'm not saying this to nobody to say leave.
Right.
My degree sets me apart, but my degree didn't give me my job.
It
My
just shows consistency.
experience
Yeah.
on campus, being involved.
Where?
On campus.
Where?
My experience working with student activities or CAB, whatever it is, right? My experience being able to sit in rooms and have meetings with different people. I had validation from people where they can be willing to put their name on the line for me in certain situations. So when I had to fill out resumes, I knew I didn't have anything that I wasn't on a radio station. So my experience of me saying I've done marketing and promotions, well, I have to do the same thing on the air. I have to be able to post. I did social media content for student activities through Elizabeth City. I had to be able to do that on the air for the radio station. To be able to, I took all them little small nuances and made the job description fit with 5 different people that I've worked with. Not even got a check for. That's the thing. You don't have to get a check to be considered a job. If you did something, you got experience from it. Write that on your resume. Absolutely. Get you in the door. That's it.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this. Tell us about your podcast, because I know April was April. What's month is this? This is March. So April. So it's coming. It's coming. And you, like, it's so good to hear you and listen to you. So when I meet you, like, don't, I know COVID might be over. I'm gonna hug you. I'm not even a hug.
I'll have Pfizer by then.
I'll have
Pfizer by then. We're good.
Well, we got Moderna. Goodbye. We got Moderna. We can hug, but I really think that, first of all, I feel like we're friends. I feel like we really love this conversation.
Yes.
But we really want people to be able to listen to you, because you have such a story. And I'm gonna have to figure out, I'm gonna have to get your books, and I'm gonna have to play it, put it in a PDF format so I can listen to it. Even talk about it with some of our students. We have a book club here on campus. So I'm really excited. And I really want you to come and do kind of like I don't want to call it a TED talk, but a Tedita talk.
Hey, tell
us about the podcast.
Tell them Title III officers go ahead and cut the check. We good money.
Oh, so you know how it goes.
Come on.
You know how it goes.
Come on. I just gave somebody a gym. They like, what? Like, man, that's a whole nother podcast. All right.
Yes.
Short version. I promise you it's short. For 3 years I tried to start a podcast. 3 years, literally. And it just didn't work out. And I finally connected with 2 of my old teammates that I played with back in the day in high school. And I put it out on Facebook and was just like, yo, I'm thinking about doing an all-female sports podcast. Who down? And they jumped. And I was like, perfect. Like both of them. Like, and man, it's been a joy to just be in the same room with 2 people who actually have seen me struggle, go through my story. And then I've seen them at the same time, like, because all of us came out at the same time, except for one is older than all of us, but she came out a year before us. So that's the only difference. Like, I mean, they saw like we were in each other's story. And like one of the girls, Amara Paris, she was my teammate in high school. And so we was known as the dynamic duo in high school. And so it was funny because we both got offered to go to Jericho City of Praise Christian Academy on scholarship. And she took it, I didn't, and I regret it. And she signed to Bethune-Cookman, and then she transferred to Virginia Union. And when I was going to Union at the time of my recruitment session, I walked in, she looked and was like, literally, hell yeah. And so it was like, all right, let's do it. Let's work, right? And so then my other homegirl, she played D1 at ODU. And then things happened and she ended up going to V-State. And so all of us are CIAA kids. The entire staff is an HBCU graduate.
Yes.
The entire staff. So I mean, I can't wait. We're sharing our own stories, candid conversations, never been told stories. And we're also giving our insight and perspective on how the woman is always overlooked, but they're the trendsetter. And so I can't really wait. I really just can't wait to really, really release it. We're super excited. And you know, it's different. And we already know that we're gonna get the sexism. We're gonna get the sexism comments, and you know, and that's fine, because what people don't realize is the more you comment and the more you share, you keep us in the algorithm. People want to watch. Why? And you wonder why this person is still going here, here, and here. It's because you keep saying negative stuff, but it's clickbait at this point. So, you know, we're prepared for it. And you know, prayer and a lot of team effort. And we're literally operating how we would if we were still in high school, because we all trained with the same person when we were in school. So it's just amazing to just be around great company for this.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I can tell you this has been so good. Like soul food. I'm telling you, like, this has really been a really good conversation, and we really appreciate you being here. Tell us the name of your podcast.
Podcast is called Unfamiliar Territory.
Unfamiliar Territory. And what platforms will it be on?
So it's going to be on every single podcast platform you can find. And it's also going to be aired on YouTube as well. Okay. You can follow us at Unfamiliar Territory Pod on Instagram. And, you know, you can automatically subscribe now to Unfamiliar Territory Podcast on YouTube. And if you sign up in the link in the bio of the Instagram page, we're doing exclusive content only for the people that sign up. So for our day ones, you get to see all our behind the scenes, what we do, how we talk, how we schedule, how we you get to see all the nutty crap. Like, so yeah, we try to make everybody feel as welcome as possible on this journey. So absolutely. I can't wait.
Listen, I'm so happy that you took the time to talk to us today.
Thank you so much.
This was so
Thank you for having me.
Yes, virtual.
We really appreciate it.
Right.
Yes. Yes. So,
thank you for having me.
We thank you. Well, our producer. We thank him for setting this up for us.
My guy. That's my guy. He know when he called, he got it.
Oh, well, look at it.
He blushed a little bit.
Look at that.
You know, when he called, he got it.
We really appreciate it. We hope that the station gets back up. I know you say y'all had a blackout, so.
Yeah, we good now. Like,
okay.
Good. So he was actually just texting me, let me know, like, yo, everything's straight. Because I had left while the other person was on. And I was like, yo, what happened? So I was like, yo, I hope it wasn't me. Like, what I do? Like, it's all good. Like, everybody surviving. We made it out. We good.
Good. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, listen, look, let's set it up. You know, anytime I can come down and speak for sure. And you know, the book should be done soon. I said.
Okay. We will be definitely. Well, she can read more than I can, but I had a newborn, but I will read. Yeah. I'll read to her.
Listen, I'm gonna be honest. I won't no writer. Like, listen, I say like this. I wasn't a reader. I'm a speaker. So, you know, I'm an auditory learner, especially for being a musician. But I made this book so personal that you can't share this book.
Okay. You got to read it. Yeah.
No, like you gotta have it your own, because I made it a journal. So that personal notes, they hit different.
That's good.
Well, we will definitely.
Yes, we will.
Definitely get up on it.
Yeah, the first one is still on Amazon right now. It's like $6 or something like that. It's called Reality. It's Reality Sold Separately.
Reality Sold Separately.
Reality Sold Separately. Okay.
Well, so if you type in Reality Sold Separately, JayCee, it'll pop
up. Okay. Cool. Well, we got you. We thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
No, thank y'all. I appreciate it.
2-hour show, but
it is a part one and a part two. Stop saying that. I don't know where she.
He gonna cut our heads out.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking this time with us. We do appreciate it.
I appreciate it. My apologies for the beginning. No,
listen, you're fine. Things happen.
Yes.
We ain't tripping. Yeah. We cool.
All right. Appreciate y'all.
Okay, so this has been our
Oh, sorry, Josh. This is our fourth episode, part 2 of Technically Speaking with DTL. We want to thank, oh man, yes, Technically Speaking with DTL. He gonna kill us. He gonna kill her because I'm doing the right thing. Thank you so much, JayCee. Thank you,
All
thank
right.
you, thank
Talk to
you.
you later.
All right, see ya.
Bye.